is and should be a touchdown. Here we go. Bryson Mars has got his back behind him. It is Jaquindon Jackson. Here's the snap. Bryson Barnes looking deep. He's got a man. It's caught! He's gone! Touchdown early! And good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our main set. Haven't been here in a little bit, so welcome back to the main set. I'm Cooper Naylor, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. As tonight, we've got a big show here tonight. So here is your thumbnail for you. So we're going to get into a little bit. We're going to talk about 5 different games. So we got Boston College, Florida State, USC, LSU, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. That's the 3 we called. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Clemson and Georgia. And then we're going to finish it off with, we're going to talk about Miami and Florida, the 5 biggest games of the weekend, and really some good football. Now, there are some football games that happened on Thursday and Friday night, but we've already covered those. We covered that Saturday morning during College Football Wraparound. So we don't have to worry about that. So here we are with tonight's show. Also, we've got the SBN poll reveal for this week, how it's kind of shaking out a little bit. So, yeah, we got a big show in store for you tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to begin by talking about Florida State and Boston College. It is on top of my mind to begin with. So that's the one I wanted to start with. First of all, you got to give credit to Boston College here, okay? And if you watched my stream on Monday night, you know where I'm about to go with this. So first off, you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, Boston College played a good football game. I mean, you can't say anything other than Boston College just played a heck of a football game. They made enough stops on defense. They held the ball for what felt like the entire football game. And, I mean, hey, their quarterback played great. And the run game in itself, that is going to be the story as to if you play Boston College, you got to stop the run game. So, I mean, that's the big story there. Florida State, though. And, I mean, I don't want to be the guy that's, like, harping on Florida State is just trash, but my gosh. Where do I even begin? First off, I've said this a couple times during the game, but when is enough for Mike Norvell? And what I'm saying about is, when have you seen enough of DJ Uiagalelei? That's the big question I have. Because here's the thing. The offense, it was sad to watch that Monday night. Like, it felt like I was watching Boston College against Jackson State. If you know who Jackson State is, that is an FCS program. Now, I know that's probably harsh for me to say, but it's the truth. Florida State did not look like they deserved to be on the field. The fact of the matter is, Florida State was at home against Boston College, a huge favorite to win the game. It's a Monday night, for crying out loud. And you laid an egg. I mean, the run game was a disaster for Florida State. The entire game. And what I mean about that is that the play calling was terrible too. Because it just felt like, against Georgia Tech, I will say this, the run game looked decent in the first half. They got the ball and ran up and down the field to begin the game. I was like, okay, Florida State looks pretty good this season. Then, after that first drive of the season, they've like abandoned the run game, and they think they can just let DJ win the game for him with his arm. I mean, no. That's not how this works, Florida State. Clearly, after 2 games, I mean, okay, here's the thing. It's just 2 games, but my thing is Florida State. I think you can kind of get a good look at how they're going to be this season already. They are going to have a hard time throughout the entire season. That's just my opinion. They got Memphis coming up this week. That's not a just slouch over and be like, oh, Florida State's going to win that game and get their first win of the season. No. Do not disrespect Memphis. Memphis can give Florida State a tough time. Okay? Florida State, what happened in this game, they just basically didn't even want to run the ball the whole game. DJ was like 50% throwing the football. He was like 21 of 42, which on stats looks a whole lot better than what the whole game looked like. He had a couple of good passes, but then they were dropped. So, I mean, and he got a lot of he kind of stat padded of what you want to say, because you look at that second half, they were going to lose, and it was just garbage time plays that he got down the field. So, Florida State, what's their issue? Play calling. Quarterback they need to change quarterbacks. Receivers don't know how to catch the ball when they actually get a good pass. The defensive line could be a whole lot better, because you gave up, 190 to Georgia Tech and then 263 to Boston College. Folks, did you hear that? 263 to Boston College. And here's the thing, it would have been even more had Boston College ran it in for a touchdown there in the final minute of the game. But Boston College, they kneeled the ball. So, I mean, I just got to say this. And, I mean, Chris Naylor here has a comment about Florida State's body clock was messed up. I mean, sure, I'll take that. But at the same time, though, if you are... I mean, Florida State, you're the one that scheduled this. If you were scared of having your body clock messed up, why did you schedule to go to Ireland? For instance, Georgia Tech, they played Saturday night. That's a shorter turnaround than Florida State. You know what Georgia Tech did? They won by 23 against Georgia State. Now, I know lesser competition, but at the same time, though, if you're going to make the whole excuse about body clock, what about Georgia Tech? They played in Ireland too. Georgia Tech came back and won a game, big time. So, I mean, I understand the whole body clock thing, but I'm not buying it as well, because I'm just like, Florida State had more time. They played on Saturday, August 24th, and they played on Labor Day. They had a longer break than Georgia Tech. So, take that for what it is. But Boston College, again, you just got to give them credit. They ran the ball down the throat of that defense. And that defense really, I mean, other than a couple of stops, they couldn't stop them all game long. And so, I'll say this for Florida State fans. This is not, I mean, don't even try to sugarcoat this. Your season is in jeopardy right now, okay? You're 0-2. You lost to Georgia Tech and Boston College. If you play like this, how do you expect to even make a bowl game? Okay? Did you hear me that right there? You can't even, if you play like this the whole season, you ain't making no bowl game. So now, you got to turn around Saturday and play Memphis. Like I said, that's not a slouch over. That is going to be a game that you got to win if you're Florida State. If you're Florida State, you cannot start 0-3. If you start 0-3, then yeah, your season's over. I'm just being honest with you folks. And Florida State, they're going to win a game somewhere. I mean, yes, they're going to win a game, but this is okay. I'll say this. 2017, they were projected to be really good, and they fell off of a cliff after their quarterback got hurt. I think they were playing against Alabama, and he got hurt against Alabama. I don't remember if that's completely true. But that was 2017. If that happens, I mean, they don't even have their quarterback getting hurt. They got the first string quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, and they're already 0-2. Look, folks, Florida State's in jeopardy here. Okay? They got to play better, and if they can play better, then, I mean, hey, they'll win a game or two. But, again, this is going to be a rough season if you're Florida State. But moving on to our next game, you got Miami and you got Florida. Now, I want to ask you, when is the last time you can legitimately say that, when's the last time you could actually say Miami could potentially be the best team in Florida? I mean, it's been a while, hasn't it? But hey, it looks like it's going to happen. Now, I know it's just one game. We don't really know. But Miami, they got themselves one of the best, or if not the best quarterback in the country in Cam Ward. Folks, this guy, if you're talking about a guy who right now could be lighting up the NFL, then you got Cam Ward right here. I just want to pull up his stats real quick because Cam Ward, he played a great game. And I don't know what else to say, but he played an incredible game. So against Florida, he was 26-35. It was about a little over 74% completion percentage, 385 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, which is the only blemish on his stat line. On his passes was an 11-yard average. This is crazy. His passer rating was 189.3. If you're looking at a guy who, I mean, can make any play possible, that's Cam Ward. Now, do they have the best receivers in the country? No, but I will say this: Miami is a good team this year. They are nobody to just slouch over. Okay, this is not the Miami of past. Miami team played. If they play this way the entire season, then this really gives a team like Georgia a run for their money, a team like Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon. I mean, I don't know if I want to put Oregon in that category quite yet because of the way they showed up against Idaho. And if you didn't already know, Oregon, my gosh, how do you nearly lose to Idaho? But that's besides the fact. We're not talking about Oregon today. We're talking about Miami right now, and Miami just went into the swamp, and they made Florida look bad. Now, Florida, for instance, okay, I'll say this. I think Billy Napier is a great coach, but Florida's not the fit for him. Let's be honest. If he makes it to Jacksonville to play against Georgia, I feel like that's lucky because sad reality is that he's fixing to get fired. Florida fans don't like him. And I mean, if we're going to be honest, he hasn't done anything in 3 years other than make a couple of bowl games that really, I mean, I think last year was like 6-7, same for the first year. So, I mean, he hasn't done anything incredible. I mean, that's 2 losing seasons technically at 6 and 7. So, Billy Napier, as good of a coach as he is, Florida's just not been the right fit for him. And so, sad reality, he will be fired by the end of the year. It's inevitable. Everybody knows this. And so, imagine, I mean, I just talked about Florida State, and now you got Florida. Oh, I got to be honest. That game at the end of the year, yikes. I've been saying this, and I mean, hey, it truly is. It's the crap bowl is what it is. Okay? At least if these two teams play this way the whole entire season, that's what it's going to be. Now, I will say, though, I think that Florida, unlike Florida State, I think this backup quarterback, DJ Lagway, the freshman, if he gets his footing, now he can be a really great player for Florida. The drives he played against Miami, I thought he brought a little something different to that offense. A little bit of energy and the precision on the ball. I felt like he was making better decisions than Graham Mertz when Graham Mertz got hurt. Now, I think that DJ Lagway is going to start this week, so that's going to be interesting. We'll see how he does starting. And this guy, I believe, is a true freshman, so he could be pretty decent and help Florida have a decent season this year. But then again, we don't know yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. All right, moving on to our next game. Clemson and Georgia. Oh, boy. So Georgia, I think they proved once again why they're the top team in the country right now. Okay, here's the thing with Clemson. And I know that I have some people that's watching me that probably won't agree with this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Dabo, I think, has had a hard time adapting to the new way of college football. And what I mean about that is this. He is virtually, at this point, he is virtually unwilling to go to the transfer portal and get players. Now, again, you don't have to go get a million of these guys. Heck, you don't have to be like Florida State to go get 20. But you got to go get more than just one player out of the transfer portal. Like, you got to go get a guy that can be a skill player. For instance, Cam Ward transferred into Miami. You could have gone and got a guy like him help you get to a better spot. Because I'll say this, the offense right now, Cade Klubnik is a decent quarterback. He's not great. He's not good enough to be starting at Clemson kind of player. Now, you put him on a team like Tulane, and hey, he would be incredible. But not at Clemson. Again, if you look at the offense as well, skill players, wide receiver, running back, I don't think they have the talent that they once had. And I feel like if Dabo continues this where he doesn't go to the portal and get some skill players, he's going to be left behind the curve. And Clemson will forever remain as a team that'll be 7-5, 8-4, 9-3. So I think if you truly want to compete for a national championship at Clemson, which is what they've done, you got to dip your foot into the transfer portal. You got to actually go. Georgia, on the other hand, has gotten a couple of skill players. And they've also been a team that, just like how Saban had Alabama, is just reload. Georgia showed that Saturday. Georgia just beat the snot out of Clemson 34-3. But the game, first half, it was close. Clemson's defense is going to be pretty good. But when your offense if you're the offense, you got to give that defense a little bit more time on the sideline. And Clemson's offense just didn't get the job done. So, and you played against a team like Georgia, you cannot make mistakes against a team like Georgia. If you truly want to compete for a national championship, you got to play good football and you got to be nearly excellent. Clemson wasn't that. Now, I do see the comment right here about how many other schools would love to be where Clemson is at. I see what you're saying, but I'm talking about the standard they put themselves at for the past couple of years, okay? Because Dabo's got them where, it's kind of like you want to compete for championships. And Clemson, I hate to say it, I feel like their window is beginning to fade out. That's going to make some people mad, but it's the truth. Clemson pretty much, I don't see their window being opening unless they start going to the transfer portal more and actually trying to utilize it a little bit more. So if you look at Georgia, what can you say? Carson Beck, he played a good football game. First half wasn't incredible. Nothing really stood out, but the second half was great for him. Georgia played a pretty good football game. Clemson, on the other hand, didn't get the job done. All right, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. How do I explain this one? I'll say this. Both defenses are going to be elite this season. If you are a average offense, you are not going to like to go against either one of these defenses this season. I'm just being honest with you. If you're Texas A&M right now, though, I will say this. Your offense didn't give you a whole lot of time to breathe. And I think that's the big thing here is that the teams that lost that were in the big-time games, their defense would play decent, but then the offense would just never would give their defense enough time to breathe and get some time. Notre Dame won this because they made more plays on offense, if we're going to be honest. I think that's what it came down to. They made more plays, and Notre Dame ended up being the better team. 23-13 was a score. Notre Dame, they were, I think at one point, I don't think they were tied, but I think it was like... No, they were tied. I think it was 13-13, and Notre Dame scored a touchdown, made it 20-13, and then that last drive, Texas A&M had a chance to stop them, but they didn't get it, and then Notre Dame would kick a field goal. So Notre Dame made more plays. Ultimately, I think the thing is, I think it was that Riley Leonard outplayed Connor Wigman. Connor Wigman, that was a rough game. And it's not like he didn't have time. Like, he had enough time in the pocket. Again, just like DJ Uiagalelei, he just didn't get the ball to your receivers. Or either drop passes. So, again, that's what you see from that matchup, is that ultimately Notre Dame played a better football game. And then our last game, I believe, our last game we're going to talk about, USC, LSU. This was, and I'll say this right now, this was the best game of the whole weekend. And the reason why I say that, I think, and I was happily surprised, but USC's defense actually played decent in this game. Now, we'll say this. Yes, Garrett Nussmeier had a good football game, but you gotta, and again, stats can tell a lot, but then stats can also blind you from the truth about the game. That is, if you look at how Garrett Nussmeier played, he had a lot of short passes in this game, which helped him with his stats. But I got to say this. USC, Miller Moss, that guy, he's going to be a pretty good football player for USC. USC, I got to say this. Right now, they are going to be better than last year. They will be better than 7-5. Trust me. I was skeptical about them going into the season, but I will say this: after one game, I will say they will be competing in that Big Ten. Now, again, I will say this: I've got to admit when I'm wrong, and when I'm wrong, I've got to admit to it. And so, yeah, USC is going to be better than what I thought they were going to be. And so LSU in this game, I got to say this too. LSU's going to be a decent team, but USC is a better team. USC, they'll be good. They'll be good. In this game, Miller Moss went berserk. Garrett Nussmeier had pretty good stats. And at the end of the day, LSU's defense crumbled once again. And, okay, here's another stat, okay? LSU has not won a home opener since 2019. You know what they did in 2019? That was the year they had Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I think Terrace Marshall was one of the receivers. You had Thaddeus Moss on that team. You had I can't remember what the guy's name was, running back, but he was good. I just got to say this. That LSU team, that's the team that went undefeated, won the national championship. So, they haven't won they have not won an opening game since. Yes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thank you, Colton. But I'll say this. LSU, what lost in the game was that their defense, when it came down to the biggest moment, their defense didn't show up. They allowed a touchdown with like 8 seconds to go in the game. You can't do that if you want to win a football game. So, all in all, this was a good game. I mean, you saw it here on the channel. It was a really fun game to bring to you. Ultimately, though, USC was a better team, and they won the game. So, and then also coming out of, let's see, I think it was yesterday, we do have some breaking news that came out earlier today. You probably already saw this. LSU running back John Emery Jr., he will not be playing the rest of this season. So this is an article from ESPN. LSU running back John Emery Jr. tore the ACL in his left knee in practice Tuesday and is expected to miss the rest of the season, sources confirmed to ESPN. Emery, the Tigers' starting tailback, tore his right ACL in a victory over the Florida Gators on November 11th, which tells you a little bit about last year, how he only played, I believe it was 7 games. And so let me just start by saying this is his senior year. He may have some eligibility. I don't know how that works. I really don't know how that works. Either way, first off, LSU will now be one-dimensional offense. Reason why I say that, John Emery Jr. was the best running back on that team. Okay? Sunday night, he had 10 carries for like 61 yards, while the other two, I believe, had like 10 carries combined for like 50. So, John Emery Jr., definitely the best running back. I think at this point, if you're LSU, you got to just give the ball to Garrett Nussmeier and be like, hey, we're barely going to run the ball. We're going to go air raid, and you got to go win us. You got to go win every game for us, which I don't think is fair to him, but I think that's really what you're going to have to see out of LSU this season. They're not going to do a whole lot they're going to be pretty good, but I think it's going to be a whole lot of difficulties for Garrett Nussmeier. So now it's time to reveal our poll for this week. I'm going to go to a full screen so that you'll be able to see the rankings here in just a second. But this is the SBN poll. So here, without a doubt, here you have it. All right. So the top 12 has not been changed at all since Florida State began the season at 11, and now they're not even ranked anymore. So 13, you got Miami. After the win against Florida, it was too much. I mean, they had to move up to 13. They're that good. So they move up 10 spots. USC moves up 2 spots to 14. Auburn at 15, Kansas at 16, Utah at 17, Louisville at 18, Kansas State at 19. So you see teams moving up and down. You can see that LSU, Clemson, and Texas A&M, the three of them, they lost. But SBN poll, going to be very lenient. Leave them in the rankings right now because those three still, our poll says that we still think that, basically we still believe that those three are still good enough to be in the rankings. And then Oklahoma State is definitely they definitely deserve to be in the rankings. I don't know why our poll didn't have them in to begin the season, but Oklahoma State 22 now. We'll see what they do. I believe, I don't know who they play this week. It'll be interesting. Utah, now, I know it's not on your radar, but one of the sneaky good games of this week, when you speak about Utah football, Utah, I believe, I don't know if they're hosting. I think they are. I think they are hosting Baylor. So that's a game that I feel like if Utah doesn't really watch out, that could be a game that could be that could be a loss for Utah if they don't take care of business. So, of course, there's a lot of good football games this week. So, Arkansas is going to Oklahoma State. I knew there was a big game with Oklahoma State. So, Arkansas. Okay, that's another team, folks. Do not sleep on Arkansas yet because they got, I believe his name is Talon Green. He is a transfer from Boise State. And I know it's just Arkansas Pine Bluff, but Arkansas played really good football. You cannot deny that. So, Arkansas against Oklahoma State, that's one that if you're able to, you want to circle that game because that is going to be an incredible one to watch. So, folks, that is pretty much... Oh, I forgot. Folks, I forgot. We're going to announce our game for this week. First off, you may be wondering, why are we doing BYU and SMU Friday night? Well, because I will be going, me and my crew, we're going to Alabama because Nick Saban is going to be he's going to have the dedication of the football field there in Tuscaloosa. So we're going to bring you BYU SMU Friday night, 6 o'clock. We're going to go to bed and then probably, I don't know, we'll probably leave early. And we are going to go down there. Hopefully going to get some good content for you while down there. Most likely during the game, I'll give you some updates on what's going on while being there at the game. Probably get my phone out and record the dedication of Saban Field. But, of course, it has been a good show. And, of course, BYU, SMU, we'll see you Friday night for that. But, first off, you don't want to miss it because our stream is going to start at 5 o'clock. We're going to go ahead do our college football wraparound show then and lead right into the game. If you don't want to watch the game, and if you want just college football wraparound, the plan is to possibly just get the college football wraparound portion of the show posted Saturday morning at 10 o'clock so that you still get that hour of college football wraparound. So you're not going to miss college football wraparound on Saturday morning. So just no game on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. we'll have BYU SMU Friday night. So, folks, thank y'all for watching. We will see you again later. Good night, everybody.